Get ready with me while I tell you about the worst boss I ever had. Worst job, maybe not. Worst boss, definitely. So I already put my lashes on, and after that debacle, because I'm not really feeling the glue that I'm using, I was like, you know what? Let me give you a little story time. So right now, this is Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Glow Serum. Now that that's on, let me tell you about it. All right, so first things first, I'm not trying to get sued, so we're gonna keep it cute, okay? We're gonna keep it cute. We're not gonna get too specific on dates. We're not gonna be saying any names. But in a land far, far away, when I was just a young little whippersnapper, making my way in the world, I got a job, and I was very excited about this job. It was a grown-up job. I was making the most money income-wise that I had ever been making. And I was, it was a kind of a cool job in terms of the fact that it was pretty visible. I got to work not with, but I got to be in a position where I was working on a lot of type of policies, and I was meeting with congressmen and senators and Congress people and senators and things like that. So of course, very exciting, right? So during the interview process, the person kept saying, we want to make sure, there's longevity, because for some reason, a lot of people tend to leave this position, and, I get it. They move on to bigger and better things, but it's really important that you're committed to, at least staying for a year, so, we can have continuity. And I said, sure, absolutely. I'm committed. If I like a job, I'm gonna stay, right? Not forever, but if I like a job, I'm gonna stay. And so that was a red flag. I didn't know it was a red flag at the time, but it was a red flag. Because I'm now, and of course, hindsight being what it is, it's like, why were you so pressed about the fact that it was like you wanted someone to stay? And what I should have done is ask, there's a lot of turnover. How many people have left this position? Why? And what about the position have you been able to adjust? Can I talk to someone who's previously in this position? Those are the kind of questions you should ask, just FYI. Red flag number two, the other person that worked in the office was supposed to be helping me onboard. And I started getting copied on emails, and the tone of the emails was like, oh, let's say this person's name was Cassandra. Cassandra, please send Adriana this. Send this, and it was like several emails, one after the other. And I was like, okay, she did say that she was, on top of things, but again, it's like this one person who, by the way, it's not an HR person. This person had a whole other job function, but they're getting emails and instructions like send me forms and things like that at like all hours of the night. And I just copied on them. So that was red flag number two. And then once I get there, my first day, I'm excited. And I walk into the office. It's a very small office. It was the energy in that space was like a funeral home. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, do you want to do lunch? Like, what's happening? But everyone was just very what I now know, they were afraid. And so there was that. So I'm like, okay, I'm trying to get onboarded. It's a lot of work, a lot to do. I'm getting rapid fire. I'm starting to get the rapid fire emails, like one after the other. And I'm in my desk. I'm trying to get my desk situated. I'm clearing things out, what have you. And I come across a note, a Post-it note that says, y'all can see that? It might be flipped, but it says, welcome to hell. Good luck with the monster. I wish I was kidding. I said to my colleague at this point, I was like, someone left this in here. What does this mean? And she chuckled and said, oh, you'll see. Level of micromanage, intense, abusive tendencies that I started to experience within the first 3 weeks, it's it's comical. It's comical now. And it's comical because if I was watching this like on a TV show, Delaware Prada, I would be like, I'm like, oh my God, this is funny. Let me tell you something. In real life, it's not fun at all. It is not fun at all. The fear when an email goes unanswered for like more than an hour, waking up every morning at, like in my case, 7 a.m. to see like 50 emails from her because she like never slept. Oh, I said she, well, whatever. Never slept. The lack of what I now know is called psychological safety, because you did not want to make a mistake ever. Because then if you made a mistake, it became, well, what's not clicking for you? Do you have a learning delay? Is there something, that I should know about that you need to disclose? Is there something wrong with your hearing? I wish I was kidding. By the way, around the 2-month mark, 3 people had already come and gone. I was still there. Okay, so there's that. Then we started working with a temp agency because it just got to that point. So anyways, so the people that worked like in satellite capacity, like there was an accounting person, another person who did like stuff in satellite offices, their respective stuff, and they would joke with me and be like, wow, you're still here. I'm shocked. So at this point, I already know I made a terrible mistake, right? But here's the thing. You got bills. There are responsibilities. By the way, this is the LYS matchstick. I actually really like this because it's light, and this is in the color DG6. Yeah, I really like this. So anyways, that's around the time that I started to develop some really bad health issues. Overeating, drinking too much, weight gain. When I tell you I gained about 15 pounds in 3 months, I gained 15 pounds in 3 months. When I tell you my hair started to fall out, my hair started to fall out. And I'm the kind of person that always prides myself on my hair. Listen, baby, I'm a Leo rising, very stereotypically so. I love my hair. I love to change my hair up. That's why I experiment and play around with wigs. And for years and throughout high school, I colored my hair, did different things. My hair is a big deal to me. My hair started falling out. I just used the Huda Beauty color corrector, orange, because I have some slight darkening on my under eyes. All right. And now this is Hourglass. I love this. Like, I hate that it's so expensive, but listen, when it works, it works. This is the doe tipped applicator, and I'm just gonna place it right here. So the main thing you may have noticed, I don't put a bunch of product underneath your eye. It'll cake up. Again, it's hot. So I'm gonna dab it here, here, and here, and I'm gonna do here, here, and here. Everyone has their preferred way. You talk to one person, they say, no, you can, don't apply it that way. You talk to another person, they do it another way. I'm experimenting with this way on this day. That rhymed, okay? I'm using this brush, the Hourglass brush. Again, I hate that it's expensive, but damn, it works, right? It perfectly works right underneath here. Because again, I'm going for like a nice illuminated type of look. And I want something kind of like soft and cutesy. So, and I got to get this done pretty quickly because your girl got therapy in a little bit. So anyways, I'm trying my best to just hold on, because now we're planning like a pretty big event with, big name speakers, politicians, extreme VIPs. So I'm like, listen, I'm planning this, we're raising a bunch of money. I'm processing all of these checks. Like I can do this. Try my best. I'm like, this is gonna look good on my resume. All the things that we tell ourselves to just say, just hold out. I want to stay somewhere at least a year. Very, very Devil Wears Prada coded, right? It's kind of a millennial thing. until a lot of us like started to put ourselves first. So I'm like, I can hold on, you know, if it's gonna be okay. It continues to get worse because I guess at this point, maybe she assumes that I really need the work and I can't find something else or whatever the case may be. So the abuse, because that's what it was, starts to get worse. And, you know, unfortunately, when you are in a situation like that, you don't really recognize. So I'm just applying my contour this way. This is a wig. As you'll see, I like to make my forehead look a little bit shorter, so that's what I do. Using this brush, yes, it's an eyeshadow brush, but I'm using it because I do my nose contour. I do not do a contour to make my nose look slimmer. I do it to make my nose look a little bit more proportional and defined in relation to the rest of my face. All right, so this is what I do. I'm gonna look off camera and you're gonna watch me do it. All right, time check, boom. So the abuse starts to get worse. And now she's getting real spicy in the emails. She's saying stuff like, can you explain why you send an email worded this way? This is a proper operation. You know, I don't know where you come from, but that's not how we do things, you know, else, you know, here, da, 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 da. So I start getting spicy back and saying, listen, I'm not sure who you're talking to, but this is inappropriate. Don't speak to me that way. Because at this point, I'm fed up. I'm applying to jobs and I'm starting to interview. So I'm starting to feel like, okay, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's a small one, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. I'm trying my best to make sure that the temps are happy. Oh, because by the way, remember I started working with a temp agency? Yeah, so we went through about 3 temps because they would show up and after about 3 days, gone. At this point, that's when it got turned all the way up. Because what happens? Now, this woman is a woman of a particular age, but she was seeing somebody romantically. That relationship ended. How do I know? Because she's a woman of a certain age. I have access to her emails. I'm the one seeing all the messages about, because she puts it on her calendar, where this date is, where this meetup is at, etc., etc. Including on the email, the breakup, the back and forth, I just don't understand, why can't we work it out? She got broken up with. Again, this is a woman of a certain age. And that's when all hell started to break loose. That's when she started kicking over trash cans in anger, started cussing. And that's when I said, listen, I got some family stuff going on, so I'm gonna have to work remotely almost exclusively. And because I said, it's gonna be either her or me. And at this point, my whole family knew I was going through it. Everybody in my life knew that I was going through it. And I said, Lord, just let me get this job and hold out for just a little bit so I don't go to jail. Because it was getting real. Y'all, it was getting very real. And I knew I was going to have to figure something out, and quickly. So I worked from home, so I didn't have to see her face. I would pop into the office when I knew she wouldn't be there. And finally, I got the letter of acceptance from the job that I had really wanted and applied for. I helped put on the big event that, okay, don't get alarmed. By the way, do not get alarmed by this, because I know it looks a little intense. Trust the process. We're going to blend it all out. And I got a few more minutes too. We're going to blend it all out. It's going to look good. Trust, okay? I got the job, moved on, and left after 6 long months. Is that the end of the story? No, it is not. Because some months later, I was applying for a first-time homebuyer program. And where I live, there was an excellent first-time homebuyer program. And so you have to submit, if anyone's ever purchased a home, you got to submit a ton of information, for employer information, the whole nine, which I did, and I was happy to do. But included on former employer information was a note that said, or a line that said, verify that this employee has worked with you, etc. And also, would you ever hire this person again? And I don't even know why they asked that question, to be completely honest. I don't know if it's because they were trying to gauge, I don't know if it was because they were trying to gauge, in the event that there was any deep employment issues, if someone was, I think it was trying to gauge like a risk assessment. Like if if this person's frequently fired, is it likely that they may find themselves in a position where they, might be unemployed and unable to, pay this mortgage, because I got a pretty nice, I got a lot of, assistance. This person puts on that application, no, I would not hire this person again. Does decent work, but can't work in a team. That's what she said. Months after I had already left, I put in notice. I was a person who worked there the longest, mind you. And that's what she said. So I went ahead, hopped on Glassdoor, hopped on Google. I hopped on every single review site related to that business, related to anything. And I got to typing. And I did my big one, because it was deserved. I was going to leave with grace. I was going to say, hey, you know what? You got it. Go with God. Figure it out. But she didn't want to play like that. So, if you want to tell a joke, we can be hilarious. Which is exactly what we did. We were very hilarious. So, now that we lowered this up a little bit, as you see, there's some dimension, there's some blush. It should look very nice, very cutesy. Let's get a little closer. Yeah, it's cute. I'm just gonna do some liner. Oh, you know what? Let me do one more little thing. So I actually really like doing this. This is dark brown eyeliner, and I like doing it underneath because it makes my eyes pop a little bit. Okay, there you are. And while I tell this story, I can tell it and I can joke and laugh. But if you find yourself in a situation that sounds anything like what I just talked about, here are some takeaways that I really, really hope that you consider. Number one, no job is worth your livelihood. None. And I'm not going to be the one to tell you quit your job. I'm not that person, because everyone's finances are different. But I will say, do everything you possibly can to get you another job. And if you can't find another job, fill your life outside of that job with things that you really love, so you have something to look forward to. Because if that job becomes the only thing you can think about and focus on, it will consume you. And I have seen it happen. I still see it happen with people. And it's just never good. And it's a really sad thing to see, especially if you're a person of color, especially if you're a Black woman. And so that's what I hope to impart. Like, just be mindful of that. And now that I'm looking, it's look a little too, am I feeling this? Let's Let's blend it out right here. Yeah, let's blend this out. Because I don't want that flashback to look too intense. Okay, let's see. Yep, that's better. That's better. Sometimes, listen, we go back in and we correct. And that's perfectly fine. And now we can add a little more blush where we lost. Hold on. Hold on. See? Add a little blush. Because this Milani is not, it's not a fixing spray. If I use like the L'Oreal Infallible Drawn, that would be different. And see, when you do it like this, now you have this beautiful warm purple glow. Gonna do a little something right here because, you know, just keep it cute. Cute and very girly. There we are. All right. We are right about at time. I'm gonna fix it a little bit more. Right before I leave, I'm gonna do my lips. I'm gonna line my lips and do a whole thing. But for now, this is where we are. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Looking back